from our station, spinning 3,900 feet above the watery sphere.
I can see for miles and miles. I can see for miles and miles. I can see for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles.
This is Monitor Duty. Well, hey, everybody. It's Reese here. I'm solo today. Unfortunately, our plans for the show granted a little bit of a hang up. So, because of some scheduling conflicts and everything, last minute change. It's probably going to be a short one. I am just here to answer questions. Oh, it
Yes,
appears
you're
the
not.
middle is here as well.
I was just a little late to getting to my keyboard. I just got out of the shower.
That's fair. That's fair. So I don't know if you caught all the business earlier. We had a difficulty problems getting everybody together today, unfortunately. So we're not talking about Daredevil. Oh. Instead,
That's fine. I didn't read it anyway. Though I think I've
you
probably
should. I
read it
read the- I
before.
got
It's just been a while.
Yeah. It's been really fun. I've also been reading a bunch of Daredevil for my quarter box finds for the while that I've just never gotten around to. So this weekend I also read a really really weird Captain America trade. It was the Bloodstone hunt.
Oh yeah, I kept seeing you posting it in like different chats and stuff.
Yeah. And it started out, man. I was just absolutely loving the story. So like the setup of it is that Baron Zemo and a bunch of other Captain America baddies are trying to uncover these gem fragments of the Bloodstone. And it's an artifact from the 1970s Marvel horror books. There was a character called Ulysses Bloodstone, Monster Hunter, and it all goes into this deep lore from the 70s monster books, monster horror books that Marvel had. So it was super fun though. So Captain America and Diamondback are Batman and Robin across the planet trying to thwart Baron Zemo and Bartok the Leaper and a couple of the guys, Machete.
I love Bartok.
I love
Leaper. He's
Bartok.
my favorite.
He's great. And so like it's this crazy pulpy Indiana Jonesy of adventure, right? And that story ran for 6 issues, but the collection I have is got it's 8 issues of the book, right? Because like there's a 9th hour, 11th hour intervener in the story of the Bloodhunt Chronicles that led into the next mini story arc where Captain America has to go rescue Diamondback or from Crossbones.
Yeah. You know what actually really upsets me? Both of those characters, right? Batroc and Crossbones are like really big Captain American, like recurring villains. Usually, you know, especially with Batroc, it's a lower scale thing that he's doing, but it's still important. Like whatever
Right.
you have to stop him from. A lot of times, he's even hired by other people to be a distraction for like Cap and people. Great character, but then the movies come and like, oh, everything has to be of such big scale. We can't just write a low level story that uses something like Crossbones or Batroc to be the main villain. They have to be like the intro villain to a movie, and then we'll move on past them to the point that a lot of people don't even know who the characters were, even though they saw them on screen.
Right. And like Crossbones shows up just to be, you know, killed off in the first 5 minutes of that stupid well, the movie was Civil War, I think. And they introduced him in Winter Soldier and the whole thing, but like which like I kind of dug that version of the character. Like he was kind of neat, but the fact that like he was so underutilized and like it would have made sense that like this version of Zemo was working with this version of Crossbones, and you'd see him show up again as a resurgence. Because that's the thing is like Crossbones is like, yeah, he works the Red Skull, but he's also like just this like gun for hire, right? And it was so anyway, it was really in reading this trade, right? I was like, why wasn't this the second Captain America movie? Right? Like
Exactly.
I know it would have been sort of a hassle to introduce Diamondback, and I kind of think I don't know what I think of her as a character. I kind of like her and kind of hate her at the same time. But you could have had Sharon Carter in that role in an MCU movie,
Yeah,
really developed Sharon Carter's character and had this like fun thing. But the in the comics, the ending of the Bloodstone saga, if it was just really the end of the thing, I think it would feel it wouldn't feel like cheap. But because it leads into this 2-issue follow-up denouement story arc, right? It sort of feels like the ending of the Bloodstone hunt is like kind of cheapened by the thing. But at the same time, I enjoyed it. I'm really glad that I read it. But it would have been cool to have seen like a condensed version of that story as a MCU movie. And did you see here? And because here's another pitch on the idea. Did you see the Uncharted film?
No, I have not.
Okay. It was kind of mid, but it was kind of fun, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I guess.
right. It was okay. So like it fits into the genre of action movies that don't necessarily hold up to themselves, but is still like, a fun romp, right?
Yeah.
And like I think The Rocketeer, as a film, it's got some flaws, but it's so much fun that I don't care about any of the flaws. Like I
Oh
was
yeah, I think it like as a film it holds up,
yeah,
like anybody could go back and watch it and enjoy it.
right, absolutely. Well, and I was like I was a guest on my buddy's stream, his movie stream yesterday. We were talking about The Rocketeer, and they were like, Reese, what do you think of the bad things about Rocketeer? And I'm like, I don't think there are bad things about The Rocketeer, right? Right? Like anything like a little plot nitpicks you're going to talk about is going to be just like so overwhelmed by the immense like joy of the film, right? So, Uncharted is kind of in that same genre of picture, right? Where there are lots of silly little goofy plot holes. It's kind of the National Treasury. It's kind of Pirates of the Caribbean-y, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like okay, nobody believes this, but what? Like there's a scene at the end of the movie where the bad guys are trying to steal. Well, everybody's trying to steal a ship, like an entire ship. And so they lift this ship up. They lift this ship up from where it's hidden. It's full of gold, and they're pulling it on helicopters. And this giant fight on this ship being suspended by helicopters. It is ridiculous, right? I mean, like that's not how wood works. But
be like A-team levels of ridiculous.
A-team levels of yes. But it's like that's still really fun, right?
Yeah.
Like this story, right? Could have been that kind of a story, right? Where, you give me an hour and a half of over the top Captain America being the American badass, globetrotting around the world, chasing these international supervillains like the Justice League of Evil across the planet, and to have them face off against like an alien invader. Like it's
Yeah, I like action like B films, especially the action adventure type,
Yes.
Obviously Indiana Jones becomes the staple of that entire genre, but there's tons of other ones. I like The Librarian. I think The Librarian's great. I even enjoyed the recent one with John Krasinski, The Fountain of Youth, that was on Amazon Prime. I thought was pretty good.
Wow. I would love to see John Krasinski in that.
Yeah, you should check it out.
I didn't even know about that. That's great.
Yeah, it was
Krasinski's
like a couple years ago. I don't know when did Fountain of Youth happen.
I tell you what, man.
Maybe it was last year.
Maybe I'll have to see if it's free on Prime on Roku.
It was last year. Yeah.
I love Krasinski's like such a crazy actor. I don't know what it is,
Oh
man.
no, it was Apple. It was
Oh, it was
Apple
on Apple.
TV,
Okay.
but it is
Okay.
also available on Prime with like a subscription add-on or whatever. But if you have either of those, it's easy to get.
Yeah. I love everything I've seen Krasinski in. I've just loved him in, right? Whether
Oh,
it's
I liked him in
comedy, whether it's action.
watched
So,
the Jack Ryan
yeah.
redo
Yeah.
with him was really
Yeah.
good too.
Yeah. I mean, probably the best Jack Ryan ever. I mean, like,
Well, when you look at the comparisons,
sorry. Uh, I wasn't ignoring it, George Floyd 8171. I just hadn't gotten to it yet. I wanted to finish my thought first.
oh, we're always backlogged on the comics, on the comments, and the comics, both of them.
So, his question was, do I take calls? Sometimes I take calls, and I might be up for that after a bit. But after you call me a dumb hobo and a jackass, that is either going to put you up the list of maybe getting sending out the link or down the list. It just sort of depends how I feel after I'm get done talking about Captain America. Hey, Star, how's it going? Now, this name, Dave says Remo Williams.
Oh, that's a fun movie.
What is that movie?
Okay, so it is an adaptation of the Destroyer pulp paperback series, more or less, right? Featuring the character Remo Williams. And they made a fun movie about it.
I didn't know this.
It's an action adventure movie. I think might have even there's some crossover with the Red Ribbon Army arc of Dragon Ball. Though they were probably influencing each other back in the 80s because it was done in 85. And it's about a cop who basically he gets declared dead and his face is messed up. So they give him plastic surgery. And now he's basically an unnamed, unmarked man that can just do dangerous things that you don't even need a fall guy for because this guy doesn't exist. And he goes and he gets like training from a kung fu master on like how to dodge bullets. He's like, you do not dodge the bullet, you dodge before the gun is fired, type of stuff. Like you hear before they pull the trigger, get out of the line. At one point he runs over water, which is pretty funny. But there's like a whole big Rocky Karate Kid style training sequence in it. He goes to take out like this small mercenary army thing. It's a great film.
Yeah.
And there was also so that was The Adventure Begins, and they made a sequel called Unarmed and Dangerous, and they're technically adaptations of The Destroyer.
Oh, see, I got to look this up. I got to find this out because one of the things that like I was talking to my buddy Darby about, I said it was on his stream yesterday. He's kind of wanting to delve into the pulp novel adaptation, film adaptations that were like they were really trendy in the 90s, but they had their and so this is that like a genesis of that, like before that. So I really
The Destroyer's good, but you know it's campy and corny in the way that a story from its time is written, the movie is just as corny. Because in 85 they were willing to make things as corny as the source material.
Well, and or even more, like the
sometimes even more.
America film from the 80s. Did you or 91? I guess it was. Did you ever see that one? That was
yeah. Unfortunately.
So here's the crazy thing about that I recently discovered. I did not know this. I the other day I got on a kick when my boy was back for Christmas. We were looking for Fallout movies that are not we were Fallout movies that aren't Fallout movies, right? So we watched The Postman, and I found this thing, Radioactive Dreams. That was sort of terrible, but sort of great at the same time. And I was like, man, who directed this thing? Because it's just crazy. It's an absolute trip. And it was like a huge deal in other markets, right? It was kind of a he got here today, gone tomorrow thing in America. It had at the moment, but it was a weird, like the stories all over the place. I guess the director is the same guy who directed Captain America.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm just like, Oh, that makes sense. The Italian Red Skull.
Yeah, Remo Williams was directed by Guy Hamilton, if that helps.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that, but I'll have to
Oh, he
have
did
a
a lot of stuff, a lot of the Bond stuff, like the through the
okay,
70s, Live
okay.
and Let Die through Goldfinger.
Oh, right, okay. Well, cool, cool. That's quite a thing.
Yeah, I guess
And
technically Goldfinger he started back in the 60s, but yeah, he did a lot of he also did Evil Under the Sun, a lot of like really fun, already pulpy stuff. And I mean Bond was already pulpy. So like he was in the experience of adapting those type of stories. Why not do really Mo Williams?
yeah, yeah. Dave says I'm reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea right now. I need to. That has been on my list for so long. It keeps getting bumped down. With several other
Oh, that's a
things,
good
but
one.
I need to. I need to.
I mean, it's a classic for a reason.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's a failure of mine. No, I do not mean Electric Dreams. Radioactive Dreams is the story of a post-apocalyptic America after a nuclear disaster, and these two guys, these two boys who were raised in a fallout shelter and abandoned by their adoptive fathers, emerge after their 18th birthday into a wasteland, expecting it to be like some sort of 50s gangster film, and they're going to be private dicks. That's what they think their life is going to be. And they immediately get attacked by mutants and zombies and get absorbed into a sex cult.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, you talk about like movies that are Fallout but aren't Fallout. That's actually a movie that's been cited by the creators of
Yeah,
Fallout to be an
yeah,
inspiration on the
exactly,
game. So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that made our list, and we're like, okay, we got to check
yeah.
this out. And it's I said it to get adopted into a sex cult. That's a little bit of exaggeration, but they it is like some sort of rave orgy that's being implied, and
Yeah.
one guy goes off to go make it with a lady, and then she straps him down, and he thinks he's in for a really good time, and then cannibals show up and threaten to devour him.
You know, movies were just like that. You know, like they would just go in any direction at all. Didn't matter as long as it was fun.
Yeah,
It's like
but yeah, that
watching
was
Escape from New York. It just
yeah,
goes in every direction.
right. And I actually, Escape
I
from New
love
York is a
Escape from New
really good
York.
example of that. I really like Escape.
I think it also it doesn't fall into the whole like mythos journey of the action adventure genre,
Mm-hmm.
like the globetrotting Indiana Jones, but it is a very pulpy classic style action adventure movie, original to Carpenter, but obviously influenced by a lot of the other stuff before it, and then also influenced other things because obviously Metal Gear Solid was inspired by Escape from New York.
Oh yeah, yeah, Snake. Yeah. Um, George said, "Hey, Bird Brain, why don't you stop talking all this bull hockey and go to got some employers about a real job, sir? I put 9 hours in my real job today. I'll talk about whatever the hell I want." I'm an old man with a very specific expertise, so they they can have my time from 9 to 5, and then I come home. No, no, it is not.
Speaking of spending like really long hours, I ended up streaming Arknight's Enfield for 10 hours and 12 minutes yesterday.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
straight. On my feet too. Because I have a headset plugged into the PlayStation controller, so I'm just like pacing around the entire time that I'm playing.
Mhm. Well, oh, what happened? Jim asked what happened to Daredevil. Well, here's what happened to Daredevil. Um, Not everybody got their homework finished, and we had some voices that we specifically wanted to get their impression on reading because we're going back to '64, reading like the first 4 issues of the original series, and so some of the guys who were just like, man, with the weather and la da 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 da, life happened, and I didn't get that done, and we really
Yeah.
wanted to get their voice on the subject, so. We did not have a good backup plan. So I decided just to go live, and I was going to work on art, but I realized I left my stylus pen upstairs. So I don't want to try to color pages with my mouse.
I mean, hey, that's how I color pages.
Yeah. Some people are more hardcore than me. I've
Yeah, and
come
I
to
did that whole
be,
picture behind me with the mouse, and it came out great, you know?
I've come to be dependent upon my tools. So
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who else was it. Like, was it Gary Shipman? I remember some other, it was like old guy in the circles who was like, yeah, I've only ever done digital art with a mouse because that's all that was available when I started. It's like, that's fair. I can't remember who it was though.
yeah. I've talked to I don't know, I can't remember that, but I do know that what is her name? There is another comic YouTuber who makes stuff. She used to do the webcomic Street Levelers.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her real name, but when she was doing like twice weekly
Maybe an
webcomics
art.
back in the day, she said she used a laptop with a mouse pad to do
Oh
all of
yeah,
her
yeah.
art. And I'm
I
just
used
like,
to use the
oh,
mouse pad
honey.
for the digital stuff too. Well, because it gives you a little bit more control, right? You can almost use your finger like a stylus. It's almost like a tablet. And
Yeah, yeah, it'd be crazy. It'd
I
be
don't
crazy.
like this mouse pad as much, but on my older laptop I had back in like
Mhm.
2011 through 2014 before it finally died on me, I would use that mouse pad almost like a tablet.
So, since I said ask me anything was a real job, I am a social worker. So,
Helping the Utes.
actually, I moved on. I
Oh, you
changed.
moved on from the Utes?
I'm no longer in youth. I am with adult protective services. So
Oh,
so
also
so
important
yes,
job.
yeah, I think so. So it's the never anticipated show on Ulysses Bloodstone. Yes, I was unaware of Ulysses Bloodstone before reading that comic, and um,
It's a
actually, it's really
really,
funny.
really badass name.
It is a great name. Well, he was a great character, but the thing is like one of the things that's about the character that I discovered, and Jim Tooner mentions this, so we'll go ahead and bring his thing up here. Um, where was it? Yes, Steve Gerber did. This is true. Steve Gerber took over writing and hated the character so much that he murdered him. He died in the in the Rampaging Hulk magazine. So that I looked at that is actually true. I had looked that up this weekend because I was like reading the comic. I'm like, this feels like a deep lore cut. Is that what's actually going on here? And it is, in fact, a deep lore cut. Um, something that oh, and I'm gonna forget the writer of that storyline right now. Um, uh, Mark, not Guggenheim. That's not right. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not there though.
Mm. See, I also, to the other question Jim asked, I have an alternate answer to, and it's what happened to Daredevil. Marvel happened to Daredevil.
Oh, that's fair. Did you ever watch the TV series?
The one on Netflix?
Yeah,
Yeah, I loved it.
yeah. I never saw it. Never saw it.
I thought it was great. I have not watched any of the Born Again though. I heard that it was not as good. They brought back like all the actors. They don't have a lot of the same creative staff, and it's just shallow and marginally better than most of the other Disney stuff. And that
Mm.
could be true or false. I probably will never know. I also don't own Disney Plus, nor do I plan to. If they had put it back on Netflix as like a deal because it was originally on Netflix, I probably would have checked it out, but I'm not getting Disney Plus just to continue a series that was already going downhill when it left.
Yeah, I never. Um, Tuner says it also has nothing to do with the story Born Again. Now that I just recently read, I had not
Mhm.
read that before. I picked it up the other day at the Target. They had it on sale, like whatever, 30% off or something. And so I picked that up. That's a weird one. I have mixed feelings about that story. Because it started like as this wild like very noir kind of street level story. And then like Captain America has to show up because the Kingpin unleashes a superpower terrorist into Manhattan. And um and it's good. I enjoy it, but man, does it take a twist from that like something that could be a Bogart film,
Mhm.
into suddenly it's like definitely like, Schwarzenegger, Stallone action movie kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
It's one of the things I always liked about Daredevil, and I'm sure, yeah, maybe I'll reread the stuff that you want to talk about just because we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the stuff I liked about old Daredevil, and the show actually did this really well, is that Daredevil is a very Catholic character.
Mhm.
And despite being made in the modern day, more or less, I mean, it was almost 10 years ago now, but they did still make him a very Catholic character. And it's like very important to him and his development,
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
least for the Netflix series. I'm sure they probably lowered the Catholic tones in the Disney Plus version afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now, on the subject of Jim says that the mental breakdown era of Frank Miller, crazy but interesting. Yeah, definitely the case. The other thing about his work on Born Again specifically is that the first like issue and a half, 2 issues is like Matt in this like emotional slump, and that's carried on from before Frank came onto that book. That was just where they were going with it, and so there's like this spiraling that Matt's doing, and like he's just really depressed. He's like felt like he's lost his way in the world. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore, and then all this bad stuff starts happening. He gets disbarred, so Matt's just spiraling. And what happened? and then spoiler, Fisk blows up his house when Matt's on his way home. So Matt comes home to a pile of bricks, and then suddenly he's like, "Okay, this is now I know who did this. I thought I was having bad luck, but this is too much luck to be bad luck. Kingpin blew up my house. Screw that guy. It's now that I have
You
a
don't really
direction,
need too much reason to say screw Kingpin. He'll
right?
always give you one anyway.
Well, that's also true, but it was one of these things where, like, in the flow of Born Again, suddenly, like,
Yeah.
Matt's like, "Oh, my life is no longer terrible. Like, I thought I was having the worst luck ever, and that God hated me. Oh, no, no, there's a focal point to all of this. I
Yeah.
can do something about this." Oh, um, so it's kind of like Jim Tudor's take on Born Again, I believe, is kind of like Tom King's 5,000 issue deconstruction of Batman, but Frank Miller's story was readable and compact. Like, I mean, like the arc of madness that Daredevil goes through till where he like goes from because it's very much like a comedy, right?
Yeah.
And so, like Born Again specifically is very much like a comedy. And so life gets sucky, life gets sucky, and then at that house blow up, suddenly it's like, okay, what can Matt Murdock do to pull himself up and kick Kingpin in the teeth, right? And and to regain his position in life. And one of the nice things that I liked about the flow is he didn't leave it to himself, right? He's bringing Karen out of the same morass that she got into, right?
Yeah.
And so you have like the upward trajectory of Matt's like uh, uh, growing self-awareness being combined and survival skill being combined with that of Karen's. And I don't know what I think about them together long term. I know that was kind of ignored by later writers, but at least in that story arc, I found it really interesting. Even though the ending is sort of like a, how did we get here? I don't understand it at all.
Yeah. Well, the way
Why
they
did?
kind of always written Matt, it's hard to imagine him with anybody long term, even though
Mhm.
he should be with someone, but
Yeah,
that should be
yeah,
like part of his character progression.
right. Well, and part of it, I think, um, I really got the feeling from where Frank was treating is that he was setting it up that way, and
Yeah.
it was them together for a long time after that. Because like I've been reading through my quarter bin pulls, right, that I've gotten through the years, and they're like, some Ann Nocenti, some Mark Guggenheim, some, like going on through the years. Um, and so it's like like just a spattering of stuff. Like every like several years, I have another like random issue that's in there, and I'm reading through those. And with that, you have this like a lot of them are Matt and Karen together, right? And like so they're like a thing. And then Matt fakes his death back when the black suit days, right? And then I think they write Karen out. I think they wrote Karen out of the series. I don't remember what happened after that, but I think she's either written out or killed. I just don't remember. It's been so long since I read it. But during the Kevin Smith's miniseries,
that doesn't surprise me.
Where he came on, it was one of those things. And then like I haven't followed up on the regular, but I don't think that Karen's been part of the story since then. I think that it's either been that Echo character as a romantic interest has either been the Echo character that Smith invented, or the or Elektra brought back around again. And I don't know what to think about that. I'm just not sure where to I guess like it's weird because in a lot of these fictional worlds, I kind of say, okay, who really does make a good match? And like if I was to see the Adventures in Ozzie and Harriet version of these stories, who would I want to be in the bed next to Matt Murdock? Right?
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't understand, the Ozzie and Harriet was a sitcom back in the 50s. The Ozzie and Harriet Nelson, the parents of Ricky Nelson, the rock singer. They were an actual married couple. They played a married couple on the show. Their actual children were their children in the show. And they slept in different beds. Right? So there was,
which was very common for the longest
very
time.
common in that sitcom. But they were like the stereotypical married, because like tons of sitcoms that time had a single dad or a single, not usually a single mom, but the single dad or whatever. My Three Sons, that kind of thing. But Ozzie and Harriet, they're happily married, and that was all part of the dynamic. And often like the scenes that set up the other parts of the story were Ozzie and Harriet talking about stuff in their room and then turning the light off between them. So but that's a whole so that's the joke I was making. Over explained it. There you go. It was a reality show before the reality show era. Almost. It was a style at the time. Then you have the scandalous mother. Let's push the beds together tonight.
Though, I mean, even back then, I think the first shared bed was in the late 40s in Mary Kay and Johnny. They shared a bed together.
Yeah, well, and so did Lucy and Desi Arnaz.
Yeah.
Which that people like make a big deal of it because they were like an interracial couple, but like I don't think that's necessarily a fair reading of that situation. I think it was mostly just because I think it probably had more to do with the one bed thing. Also, the fact anyway. Yeah, so
it's like I think Mary Kay and Johnny were the first, but it was still so rare. It was a big deal basically every time it happened.
It could be.
Yeah.
Jim Tuner says eventually they had Karen Page move to California to be an anti-porn activist and then gave her HIV. Certain people really hate that character as much as Jubilee is hated by some people. It says
I like Jubilee.
And Jim says that apparently she was killed off in 99. See, I was one thinking I had remembered reading that about that time. So
assuming we're talking about the character Jubilation Lee. I like
No, she's saying Karen Lee, that Karen Page was killed off in 99.
Yeah.
But Jubilee, I always like Jubilee. People, yes, there are people, Abigail says, people that hate Jubilee, and I can explain it. I don't say I understand it, but I can explain it. All right. The reason that people hate Jubilee is because they don't think that Wolverine, being a killing machine, could have a PG sidekick. Right? And they want it's the writers. Yeah. They want they try to make there are some writers and some fans that want to project this Andrew Tate style sexuality onto Logan, where, just because, he's, has commitment problems, has a history of ending up with dead girlfriends and wives, that they want him to just be a shameless cur, right?
Mhm.
But you can't be a shameless cur and be a positive role model to,
No.
your Erstats children. And so these writers would go out of lengths to separate Logan from all of his Erstats children. And for a long time, it was the editorial edict that for whatever reason, Logan can't have kids, right? So if Logan ended up in a brothel in 1944, we're never going to hear about it again, right? It's part of his rugged past, but he doesn't have to take that with him all the time, right? Um, uh,
Even though I think like a character like Logan is great to have a teenage sidekick or whatever, because if he's going through the don't end up like me kid phase,
mhm,
that's like the perfect person to be like, learn from my bad example.
yep. Well, and the fact that like that's what part. I mean that just pairs well with the Bushido side of the Logan character,
Yeah.
right? The thing that uh the thing about so Logan's perspective is it's that dichotomy of the beast and the man, of the noble warrior and the savage, and how he's whole story is about rectifying those things, right? And that kind of dichotomy only works if we allow both sides of that character to have some flex, which means that you need Logan to understand the value and even as much as he can participate in the father aspect of the man in some ways, right?
Yeah.
um and so you have kind of that's why like the film Logan being a riff off Shane was so perfect, because that's the Shane arc too, is the boy idolizes Shane and wants to be like Shane, and Shane says, no, you need to be like your dad who is awesome, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because of that I have to leave so that you can be like your dad who is awesome, right? And you may not be able to see how awesome your dad is, but trust me, your dad's awesome and I'm leaving. Right? So yeah. And the filmmaker who made Logan understood, I can't remember his name, understood those things. And so that's something that like a lot of these you know low I'm gonna be mean, the low IQ writers miss, because they're fixated on their sexual fantasies. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Just like
my take on it.
apparently Logan has had a past with
Mhm.
Doreen Green when she definitely would have been underage, because that's the only way it would work in the timeline. It's like that didn't need to be in there.
Yeah. So my name's not Shane. What movie is that from? Is that I'm trying to remember. Is that Blazing Saddles? Anyway. Yeah. As far as Jim and Isaac are talking about Wolverine's kids, yeah, he's got a bunch now. Yeah, all of a sudden
Let's
it
be
was
real. I
discovered.
think he's always had a bunch of kids. Just most of them are in the past, and they didn't have mutant powers and died before we knew about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be legitimate. The idea that like he settled down with
Well,
gals,
yeah, that
had a
idea is
family,
illegitimate. None of those kids are.
right? Well, maybe some of them. I mean, he was. I can't remember. Actually, may have to go back. There was he had a native wife, Silver Fox, I think it was, for a while.
Yeah.
She may have not been real, but at one point they were, to his memory, that they were married. But I think that she might not have been real. Now that I start to
Yeah,
think
they
about it, she might
referenced
have been
that
one of
in
those.
which movie was that? Is that in X-Men Origins? I'm trying to remember.
Maybe I don't remember.
And they like tried to drive him crazy by pretending they killed her, but she was actually like alive.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, and even that was in. I think they talked about that in the Weapon X miniseries too. that that the whole idea was that he had the memory of her dying, and that well, and Sabretooth was involved, and oh yes, that's right. Jim Tooner, Magneto, and Charles Xavier will someday both turn out to be descendants of Wolverine. I believe it. Abigail, yes, it's from a story called "The Town with No Name." That's right. No, I think it is. I think it is from this. I think that's what I'm remembering it from. That come back, Shane. My name's not Shane. That is. I think that's from that. But yeah, and that's so like the Wolverine's like editorial. So he can knock chicks up now. Is new, and I mean he's like Laura's technically his like biological daughter, even though she's a clone, and then they cloned her, and so then that's her sister, so it's Wolverine's like biological daughter that he's never actually met, and the whole honey badger or whatever that cringe thing. And there's Dakin, the dark Wolverine, who hates his dad for reasons that I don't know, and yeah, it's I don't know. It's kind of a mess. I don't think it's. There was a time, ladies and gentlemen, there was a time when, maybe it's my age, but there was a time when I could keep track of two universes, history and lore, and I felt like it made sense in a great, epic sort of a way of using a universe to tell a story about the human experience, and either
I don't think it's your age.
Yeah,
I mean, that might be some contributing factor. I think it's the fact that over time, both of those universes that you are speaking of have just become even more and more convoluted to the point that they don't want you to be able to keep track of everything.
I am my own grandpa. That is a legit song, Isaac.
Oh yeah.
It may be funny, I know, but it really is so. Back in the 90s, I predicted they would someday reveal a cosmic Wolverforce and that he would fight Galactus. Did that happen? I believe I have heard something about that, but I think it wasn't directly a cosmic Wolverforce, but there was this idea, and it was in a series of Captain America books, and I haven't read them. I have a few of them. I'm waiting to find the right price when there is the back issue before I start reading them. But there was like a Captain America and Wolverine crossover involving like a werewolf cult, and there was a spin out from that leaned to the idea of a spiritual, like a wolf spirit that would inhabit certain feral persons and caused like a spiritual, like kind of like the green from Swamp Thing that gives rise to ferality within mutant and non-mutant populations. And so werewolfism and mutant ferality were all connected through this spiritual wolf spirit kind of aspect, but it wasn't quite a cosmic thing. Although I do feel like Wolverine fought Galactus at one point too.
Yep. Well, here's the thing though, is like if it goes off to everyone indiscriminately, it probably applies well past Earth. So it was probably incidentally a cosmic thing anyway.
Probably.
And that's the problem with the world that they built, is that there's a lot of stuff that could have been local in the past, but the way they framed it as being like encompassing, that by making the universe larger, they've incidentally made things cosmic that weren't originally intended to be cosmic.
Right. A Native American type wolf spirit, kind of, but also kind of not. I think if I remember right, and I could be remembering this incorrectly because it's been a long time since I read the issue that made me decide to get the rest of the mini, right? But I think it was more along the idea that the that the wolf spirit inspired different wolf spirit traditions. And so like it's transcendent to human culture, but is still present within human cultures.
Oh, I have something like that. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like the idea of that about the, the idea of what was it? In Abigail's um Discord chat, somebody brought up a term talking about the theory that there's a sociological theory that monotheism is not a late development in terms of theologies, but that it is actually a prime theology, that a singular creative spirit or deity was present first and then diverged into competing
Well,
spirits.
yeah. And that's
Yeah.
only looks like a modern development because the Catholic Church decided to redefine polytheism to make it look like they weren't polytheistic.
Mhm, mhm. Or the other way around too.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
the idea that the the henotheistic idea doesn't mean that other branches of spiritual or divine beings aren't necessarily also created by a single entity. So the
Yeah.
existence of small g gods doesn't eliminate a prime mover.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So since we're doing questions, has any story ever followed up on Xavier's crush on Jean Grey from X-Men 3 in 1960? Yes, and I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. Yes, unfortunately.
It was brought. I don't know that it's been brought up in a 616 book, but it was a subplot within Ultimate X-Men. When she was also banging Wolverine and and Scott, and she told uh, Xavier that he was not welcome in her thoughts about that. God, you guys are disgusting. Ugh. Is brain AIDS a thing?
Probably.
Okay.
I
Isaac
mean,
says,
if you
how
would
do you
ask
pray to
H.P. Lovecraft, he'd probably have come up with that.
how do you pray to the wolf god, dear wolf god? I will huff and I puff till all thy enemies' houses are blown down for thee.
No, no. See, you start in the opposite direction because obviously the wolf god would be one that wants sacrifice. You start wolf god, comma deer for you. And,
So yeah, I I don't think that this question was been brought up again in the main universe, at least not when I was reading X-Men on the regular. But I also have not been reading X-Men on the regular since uh, Grant Morrison's took over the title.
mhm.
So I was reading it a little, like, pretty regularly between 98 and 2001, and a smattering before that. But yeah.
Well,
Okay.
something we always have to remember about most of these guys in their earlier runs is that these weren't like finely architect stories where they were trying to write a character arc from the
Mhm.
outset. For the most part, especially with how fast they were pumping this stuff out,
Right.
it was more of we're discovering the stories and the characters as we go on. So they were always toying around with some of these ideas that they also quickly realized we shouldn't follow up on.
Right. Right. No, I think that's a valid reason for in any story. I know that, like, when we first started Forces, we had intended um to be a little edgier in terms of our content, with specifically with Greg and Baron von Strichter. And our original intention was to play a lot of ambiguously gay jokes in that
Yeah.
mix. But as we wrote it, it just didn't seem to fit really well. So there are a few little snide things in the first several stories, but it didn't
Oh yeah.
it just didn't fit the characters as they flushed them out. So
Yeah, but no writing style is like 100% planned out or
mhm,
100% discovery. It's always somewhere along that
I think
like
so. I think so.
spectrum of it, and you figure out where you fall.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, that was definitely the case. I mean, like also like, little secrets. The One of my favorite aspects of the story is the growing romance between Jagged Princess and Chad. That's not a secret. It's a major plot point in the current story that's on hiatus, but we're getting back to it. Um, and it's a major story, moving forward, but that wasn't something that had been planned. We used it as a throwaway gag in one story, and then found that the rest of the of in it's one of the first or second stories at the 24/7 mark when Chad and Greg are just talking, and then we have Jagged Princess show up to do like a one-page cameo gag, and um and it just the just and it just grew out from there as we worked on other stuff. It just seemed to really fit. So yeah, it's spoilers. Yeah, yeah, for the comic that like six people have read, sure, but there's also spoilers. I've kind of spilled that anyway with the release over on Global Comics. If you go and look at the most recent addition to the Ideal Comics stuff on Global Comics, there's a huge spoiler to that story in the first page of that story. So
I think
and
I'm in that group of 6 people.
yeah, I've it's been a kick, man. I have been going back through. I'm still working on the manga sized, um, and it's been a long process. I didn't when I first had this idea to take the first 6 months. Well, it's actually the first year and a half, the first calendar 6 months of Forces, and turn it into a manga sized comic. Um, I thought, oh, we'll be able to just reformat the pages, just resize them, and everything will be great. And that was foolishness because we were we were really reliant on the infinite canvas as we were laying those things out. So there are all sorts of crazy sizes in all of that. So, um, oh hey, look at this. Yes, Miriam is in the background. This comic here is amazing. Right, this is one of Abigail's books, and it's freaking legit. Her link should be in the description, but it's not because I'm a bad friend. But that's a good one. Naji says, I haven't read all of it, but I think I'm included in the 6. Yes, it would be. Abigail says, I'm included too. And Jim says, I think that means 4 or 5 of the 6 that are present have read my comic. Well, thank you guys. Maybe not all of it. It is hundreds of pages. I haven't counted recently, but it's hundreds of pages. So not even your link is in there. I know. It's terrible. I'm so lazy. That's the thing is I'm a lazy YouTuber.
Oh, I know who one of the missing ones are.
Yeah.
Marmaduke read a really large portion of your comic,
Yes.
just like he read a large portion of mine because he got the wrong assignment on the day that we were supposed to be doing those specific stories.
Yes, this is true. Yes, he did. He read a big chunk of it. And he was like, I'm going to do a review one of these days. I really want to do that. And he hasn't.
Yeah, and he never did. But he's like, man, things are crazy over there. He only just got back to content creating very recently.
Yeah. Well, yeah, his real life has been topsy turvy for a couple of years, trying to figure different stuff out with him and stuff. And I need to get down to Lincoln and hang out sometime one of these days. I don't know when, but I was up there this summer because my boy's there, and my oldest. And I was hoping to hang out, try to find a day to hang out with Marmaduke, but it was just a whirlwind trip. There was no time to do that. And so I just didn't want to take time away from it, but I'm hoping I can make it out there again sometime the next several months, but I don't know. We'll see.
I need to peer pressure him to coming on to my show to talk about Jane.
Yeah.
But you're always welcome to come on too if you want to like pimp your stuff.
We got to. I mean, a part of
to
the
a
thing
slightly
is,
different audience, you know.
Well, yeah, and I definitely would be up for it. Part of the situation is I'm not doing a lot of self promotion because everything I'm working on is kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, I get that.
Right, the Bigger They Are story over on Global Comics that I dropped was one that I had my departed friend Rolf did the pencils on and co-plotted it with me. And before he passed away, we didn't get it all finished. But Mrs. H did the ink work a couple of years ago, and it just got stuck in the back shelf of stuff while I was working on school. And so I finally got back to it and knuckled through it all. Yeah, absolutely. Rolf is a real one for the reals.
Yeah.
But other than that, pretty much everything I'm working on is behind the scenes stuff where I'm trying to
we've done shows with the common American people several times in the past.
Trying to work on that stuff so I have it ready so that we can kind of get stuff moved along and present it out to the public in finished form rather than, a half a dozen half-finished things. So and so I don't want to necessarily do a lot of promo on stuff while we're working on that, while we're cranking on that.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, I don't think anybody would ever have an objection to doing any programming with Tim Lim or Mark Pellegrini again.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're talking to Jim's talking about bringing Mark and Tim back on the stream one of these days, and absolutely, I would like to do that. It's just been one of those things where I know they're so crazy busy, but I have not taken the time to reach out to them. I probably will do that once the next set of books ships, because I've not taken the time to read the digital that I downloaded.
Yeah.
It's so close to ship date, I'll probably wait till I have the physical, and then I'll probably bring them on to kind of talk about that and talk about how Japan's going and everything else. And I owe, speaking of the iconic guys, I owe Doug Ernst a phone call these days. Needing to call him for 6 months. So that's how that goes. I'm a bad friend.
I remember one time Tim and I were on because you were covering our stuff, like doing a back-to-back, right? And afterwards, me and him just started talking about ideas for rabbit books for like the next half hour after the show, which probably would have been good content for the show, but we just like, that always happens backstage. We talk about really interesting things that would have been good content for the show.
Yeah, that's the fact. Nanji says, just read The Bigger They Are. Well, what did you think, Nanji? Come on, let me know. Nobody ever leaves me feedback. I have been a comic for 20 years. I don't know if anyone likes it. Well, that's not true. I do know that the metal at least likes Buckskin Boone.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite of all of your characters, especially the Big Apple story. That I think that's still my favorite so far.
That is so great. I love that story so much. I've told you the story. For those of you guys who don't know, if you go to forceofgoodevil.net, you can look up. It's called Spring Break 05, Buckskin Boone's Big Apple Adventure, I think, or Buckskin Boone in the Big Apple, or something like that. And the Buckskin Boone is our cowboy superhero, right? And he goes in search of the Big Apple. He goes to New York in search of the Big Apple. That's all the press set up for it. the summer that we did this story, Chris and I, both of our lives were insanely busy. And so back in the day, what our process was we'd sit down, we'd kind of come up with an idea for a story, beginning, middle, and end, and then we'd like write it page by page. And he'd do the pencils, I'd do the inks. Sometimes he'd letter, sometimes I'd letter, but we kind of had the flow we knew we were going for. We kind of knew how long we kind of wanted it to be. We'd flex it out based on different gags to make it funny, right, as we wanted it. But we'd usually have a very firm beginning, middle, and end when we knew we were there, right? And so, and so with that, right, we had but with that story, we were rushed and we didn't have a whole lot. And I said, I think I have an idea, and so here's the setup. But I didn't know for the middle, and I knew the end of the comic, but I didn't know the end of the story. So there is a joke on the last page, and I knew that's how I wanted to end the thing, but I didn't know what was going to happen in the story, right? So everything we wrote was building to a punchline that Chris didn't know. And so we're writing out the last page, and I lay this punchline down on him, and he looks at me like, "Oh my God, you gotta be kidding." I said, "That's it. That's the entire thing." So the thing is after we finished, we were just like so drained by the whole deal that we thought it was terrible. We're just like, because it was all so scattershot, right? And it wasn't like we didn't have any of the. We usually try to put in some character drama and some like universe connotations and tie-ins, other stuff in there, and none of that was present in the story. And
And I
so,
think that's actually part of what makes it so good. Not that the other stuff isn't good, but
right,
it makes it such like a nice little one-off that you could
right,
show anybody.
right. And I agree about that. But I went back and like years later, I was reading through the archives and I was like, no, this whole story holds together really well. It's like a really good like one episode of a show. Like it's internally consistent and holds together all the character
You could
beats work,
syndicate it at
even though
random
we
and it would be
didn't think
great.
they were gonna. So, Nanji says that the comic was fine. It was missing a lot of context. This is talking about The Bigger They Are, because I haven't read the middle portion of Forces. That's fair. That's that is actually really fair. So, something to think about when we get around to because we're eventually going to do a print version of that story. So it might make sense to put in some more editors notes. We might need to do that with it. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. So, yeah, a recap or something. Yeah. I like that. Also, I don't know if I said hi to Cookie of Chaos. Hello. But
What you need instead is, as a gag, you need editors' goats, right? And it just has a goat eating a piece of paper. And it's like, well, we were gonna put something here, but the goat ate it.
well, and actually, that's one thing that I'm looking forward to working on with the manga edition is like, is having like inserts like between the chapters, a little bit of like background, behind the scenes kind of stuff. Like I'm going to be inserting like the original design that I did for Jagged Princess that we ended up simplifying for our drawings. And then later on, the current design was designed by an artist we were working with on a different project named Megan. And so Megan did the design for Jagged Princess's large coat and stuff. So forces of good and evil. Abigail.
No. See, but if this was a like what would you call it? Cartoon Network style show or whatever.
Mhm.
This would have been pre-Cartoon Network, but it was just like the Super Friends version, right? Where it's like it got adapted and they changed the name, and instead of it being Justice League, we got a different name for it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, School of Good and Evil probably would have been better for what you call uh search engine optimization.
Optimization, SEO.
SEO back in the day. Back in the day, that might have been smart. The reason we went with Forces, well, first of all, we didn't come up with the title, right? We couldn't figure out what we wanted to call it. And I believe it was actually my wife who suggested the title. But the reason is that it's not about the schools, right? It's actually about how these different players are being like expected to perform within the system that they find themselves. So that was the hint of the School of Good and Evil's a novel series. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, good for them. They got
Should
the
do a cheeky one shot that's a combined parody of both yours and of Super School, and we'll call it the Schools of Crime and Punishment.
That'd be great. That'd be great. We've talked about doing a little crossover thing. And the thing is, and I've been specifically been asked if I'd be willing to do that. And I'm like, yeah, and I've got a frame set up for it, but I don't have a story because I want to actually sit through and catch up to where they're at so that I can do something for like that'll fit into their future a little bit, right? Because I haven't read up till I think I like about further than 2019 on their archive. I got busy with stuff and didn't get back to it. So they've done so much like of their story that's progressed because they've been able to just keep cranking on stuff, which I applaud them for, mind you. But it does mean that what we talked about like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I still haven't done with. So there I go, being lame. So plus, there's all that Spy X Family to read.
Oh yeah.
You know how it goes. Actually, I bought the newest volume of Spy Family at the Walmart like 3 weeks ago. I haven't cracked into it yet. I got on a tear reading old Daredevil books, and so that's just what I've been doing with my free time when I'm not working on projects or sleeping or trying to watch a really bad TV series. You ever heard of the character Painkiller Jane?
No.
Is Jimmy Palmiotti and what is his name? Okay, so the dude that designed Azrael, Joe Quesada. So Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada teamed up on a late 90s, early aughts character called Painkiller Jane. And it's this
got a
woman,
series in 2007.
Yeah. It's this woman who has regenerative abilities. Like she can't die, right? Her body heals itself. And it got a sci-fi movie that I haven't been able to make it through, and a 12 episode TV series. It didn't last more than a season.
It says 22.
Okay, whatever.
Which back then would have still been a full season, right?
It was a full season, whatever that comes to.
Yeah.
And
I think we're just used to things being like 12 episodes now because they'll do like every episode an hour long, and that's all you get from it.
Yeah. Anyway, I started watching the series while I was looking for something else to do, and then I went back and started watching the movie, and I made it about halfway through. I keep falling asleep. It's not because it's bad; it's because I'm tired. So, yeah. But it's not great either. Like the movie's not quite this way, but in the TV series, the main character, Jane, whatever her name is super irritating, right? She's super obnoxious. and so every episode you see her just being insufferable, And then at the crescendo of the episode is her getting into some circumstance where she gets gunned down or blown up or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, thank God they're hurting her.
Apparently, the character's full name is Jane Vasco.
Right. Well, the thing is it's Vasco in the comic, but it's like Versa or something in the TV series, and then like Northington or some very English name in the movie. So they changed her last name.
Oh, well, I mean, IMDb still has it as Jane Vasco.
Maybe that's the one on the thing then. Whatever it is in the TV series is not what it is in the comic, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, it might be different in the comic.
Yeah. Her arch foe was named Negative Man. I don't know if there was an arch foe. I didn't read the comic at all. I had been watching the Human Target TV series. I had a limited subscription to a cheap streaming service because I wanted to watch The Postman. That's what it was. So I had to pay for like a week to go watch The Postman. So I watched the Human Target with which is not bad. Which it's not like the comic, but it's not bad. So yeah, Chi McBride is great in everything he's in. So but it was on the same. It was on the same streaming service, and then it's also on the free version of the same streaming service. So I went ahead and I was watching that, but it's still kind of terrible. It's kind of X-Files-y, kind of like a really cheap X-File-y with like poster board cutouts instead of characters. There's the edgy nerd and the former criminal and the high school or the college athlete and the not like the other girls and the like the other girls and then the grizzled veteran. Oh, and the doctor.
I like Jane's comic design though. Like, it's a good character design.
And I've not read the comic at all, but the Quesada can draw.
Just looking at covers and stuff now.
What now?
As I'm just looking at covers for it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe Quesada can draw. Like, and like his original Ash, the firefighter hero. It's not a. I've only read a few issues. Not a great comic, but it looks pretty. I mean, Quesada can draw. He's kind of a moron, but nobody should ever give him any authority to do anything ever. Man shouldn't even pick out his own groceries, but he can draw.
He probably doesn't pick out his own groceries.
He probably doesn't pick out his own groceries. This is true. Well, good. That's a wise decision. I'm a horrible person. It's true. The only negative man that I can think of, this is back to Isaac's comment here. The only negative man that I can think of is Negative Man from the Doom Patrol. But I'm not sure.
That's the one that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's what he's talking about. They are both covered in rags, like bandages. So maybe that's what he's talking about. Yeah. Man, that could be. But so is they're not supposed to be bandages, but it is basically the same thing. Aizawa from My Hero Academia, but I can't remember his hero name. The homeroom teacher for the. I'm not sure.
Remember much from it at all, like names and stuff.
Yeah.
Though I keep seeing Vigilante on Crunchyroll every time I pop up because they've adapted that already, and I'm like, I did like the Vigilante comic more than My Hero. Maybe I should just watch the adaptation.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know if it's good or not, but I know it had a shorter run. But I've got 1 through 14. Eraser. Yes, that's right. It's Eraserhead, and they call him Eraser. That's what it is. Thank you, Najee. But yeah, Vigilante, I've got one through, but I had like 1 through 4, and then I picked up like 9 through 14 what I have, and so I hadn't had the middle several books, so I went back and did get those, but I haven't gotten back to reading them. So, which is great because probably the next time I read it, I'll be totally lost on the story and not remember anything. That is one of the problems with manga. There's so much to keep in your head when you're reading it. My old brain's got to go through and sort it all.
See, when I saw the name Eraserhead, I was just thinking, you ever see the music video for
Mm-mm.
All Star from
Oh
Smash Mouth,
yes,
right? And it's
yes.
a Mystery Men thing, right?
Mhm.
At the beginning, and
Mystery
there's
Men. Yep.
it's all like the tryouts to see who should be in the Mystery Men at the very beginning. And he's like, I am Pencilhead, and I am son of Pencilhead. 2 generations fighting crime together. Ah, oh, you muted. Probably dog. I'm gonna guess dog.
It was not the dog.
It wasn't. Oh,
It
I
was
guess I
not.
was
It's my
wrong.
nose. My quad seasonal allergies strike again. And I went to go get I meant to have a box of tissues closer, but I had to go get one. So that's that story. No, I was fortunate enough that the dog had gotten upset earlier, and so I was able to get some assistance from um, other folks in the house about that. But yeah, yeah, I did. I so far I've really liked the Vigilante series. Like I said, I'm only 6 volumes into reading it, but I've really liked it. I also like that it was not merely like a parallel story, but it was like a prequel in some ways.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see how like the writer is like putting seeds from the main story into it in ways that like give it kind of a freshness, you know. So you're looking at not the same set of events, but they're close
Yeah.
enough that you can see how it's building into. Since I really enjoyed the main series, seeing that build into it kind of gives it a richer world sort of a feeling for it. But I like that.
I struggle to enjoy the main series. I just don't like Deku. I just don't like Deku. That's the thing that stops me. And it's one of those cases where there's far more interesting characters than Deku scattered around. And also, they talk about more interesting stories than the one we're reading too, from like All Might and the other people did. Is like, why are you showing me all this more interesting stuff than the thing you're actually doing scattered throughout your entire story?
See, I don't agree with you, but you're not wrong. Right? It's the it can it's right on the border, I would say, of falling into this. But there's this. Have you ever seen? There was a made for public television movie called Overdrawn of the Memory Bank,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And um, in the movie, they have scenes from Casablanca scattered throughout it because
Yeah. Yeah.
the main character is a huge. It's an apocalypse. It's like a dystopian cyberpunk future, and this dude works data entry for some like Omnicore kind of place, and and he's discovered inside of the computer that runs the weather these hidden movie files, and so he discovers Casablanca. So the guy becomes obsessed with Casablanca, and so he's watching movies, and he gets caught by the administration. So they send him to a shrink, and the shrink says you can't work anymore because you're not effective to the company. So we're gonna, because the company is in bed with the government, we're sending you to mandatory rehabilitation. And the way they do mandatory rehabilitation is they stick a person's consciousness inside of a wild animal, and they go out into the savannah and get all their negative energies out. And in the story, it goes haywire and the guy gets trapped in a computer and blah, 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 blah. But like this Casablanca theme shows up all throughout the movie, right? And I became exposed to this film through Mystery Science Theater. And at the end of the movie or during one of the riffs, I can't remember what it was, it said like one of the jokes was never put a good movie in the middle of your crappy movie.
Yeah.
So
Like I could take an example of something where like they did kind of the same thing, but they did it well, and there's a good reason for it. And you could take Clerks, for example, right? Where Clerks
okay.
is a movie where all the most interesting things that are happening in the movie happen off screen, right? They're
Right.
talking about all these stories and stuff that are happening, everything. Even when somebody like the old man dies in the bathroom, that's still something that happens off screen, even though it's happening at their place. All the most interesting. They take time off to go to like a funeral or whatever in the middle of the movie, but you don't actually get to see anything there. But the reason this happens is because it's a low budget movie and they can't really do anything.
Right.
But at least the stuff that you do get to see is still interesting. Like the two main characters are interesting on their own without all this other more interesting stuff happening too.
Mm. Yeah. And also, it's not really about what they do, it's about how it impacts them.
Yes,
So,
yes.
because they're able to show the lead up to and the consequences of the things that they're doing, you're still seeing the way it impacts the characters as they move along. Which is something that is, so they have this efficiency and economy of storytelling to make that all happen.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that is sort of terrifying because like that's exactly what Clerks 2 didn't have. Right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think
Clerks
that's entirely
2
the fault though, because
is a
Mallrats did it well, and Mallrats did the same type of storytelling, but they had the budget to also show you all the interesting things that were happening at the same time.
well, they didn't show all the interesting things that happened.
Most of them.
A lot of them got left on the cutting room floor, but at the same time, the stuff they were able to cut in kind of compensated for it. Right? There was a whole sequence involving Brody and what is it? Is it TS's girl Brandy is like Brody's next door neighbor. And so there's a whole sequence between Brody and her dad at home and that ended up getting cut. And thank God it did, because it would have been horrible. But at the same time, it was one of those things where but like I said, the efficiency of Clerks allows it to play with the moral ambiguity of the characters, whereas Clerks 2 is terrible because everybody is awful, and frankly, I want the place to burn to the ground.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think that's just all because that's just where Kevin Smith was at the time that he made Clerks 2.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Like if Clerks 2 was made immediately after Clerks, but with the budget Mallrats got, it probably would have been a better movie.
Yeah. Well, and I honestly believe making Clerks 2 was a mistake anyway. He should have left the characters where they were. But
yeah.
And so, yeah. But from the chat, some interesting comment I want to go ahead and hit. Isaac said, "Oh, sorry, I was thinking the Purple Man and Jessica Jones. I just suck. I was at work all day." So he was confusing Painkiller Jane with Jessica Jones. Makes sense. So Abigail says, "I don't like Deku either, but the world is fun." Najee said, "I started to dislike MHA by the end." I did not. I don't get it. I think it was sent that like the MHA sent the wrong message that all you need to do is to be a hero is to eat some of their hair. Tons of kids walk around with scissors now. Wait, is that true?
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I really hope you're trolling, but that's hilarious. I just said they do. Maybe the bad guys aren't so bad while they're plotting genocide one too many times. Let me think about that. I don't think it's that the bad guys aren't so bad. I think the point of it is that nobody thinks they're the villain. even if you're overtly a villain, right? They every one of the villains feels themselves as justified, even when I think the narrative of the story indicates that they're absolutely not justified, right?
I would
Um,
agree because I think that comes out a lot more in the Japanese than it does in the localization, but you can still even get it in the
yeah.
localization.
So I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that they're not bad. I think it's that they feel justified, right? I've been this hurt. I've been this kind of. So you have sympathy for. I mean, like the vampire girl whose name I can't remember, right? Like she had a horrible life and had a horrible mixed up way of doing about things, but like her desire was not to harm people. It's that she didn't have a concept of other people. She was like autistic or something. Um, so uh, so I think that's one of those things that like it allows the heroes to understand that compassion is more important than vengeance. But I don't necessarily think it is doing anything to. I don't believe that the story is doing anything to undermine the wrongness of the wrong actions. But it's just like one of these things that, like, when in the final fight between Deku and um, I can't remember the character's name, the hand guy, right? Where his thing is just like he keeps offering, repentance and restoration, and the opposite number keeps rejecting it, like overtly, intentionally denying. I do not want redemption. I do not want. I only want to hurt people, and so he is destroyed. He's killed because his desire is for death, and so, but it's not that there is ever a time where that's not being, offered by the sake of the heroes or by the sake of the narrative. And I think that's what we're thinking about, frankly. Um, it's the but yeah, I was remembering. I always forget the dude's name. I had it in my head while I was actively reading it. But like I don't remember anymore. I just that's the thing about it is like I really wish they gave them all English superhero names and then don't use them in the translation, right? And so it's one of these things where it's just like uh
Yeah, I hate that.
it's like they go the trouble of like, okay, how do we make this accessible to an American audience? Oh, we're going to give them American superhero names. Okay, cool. And then they never use them except for Deku's. And so it's just like, yeah, I don't know who these people are. I can't remember the thing. Yeah. Isaac says there's a line between fighting for justice and just a plot for revenge gone too far. Yes. Yes. Jim Tuner asks, is Clerks 3 any better? I wouldn't know. I didn't watch it.
Actually, it was much worse.
Clerks 2 was such a friggin' I hated it so badly. I was just like, yeah, I don't know that I have seen a single Kevin Smith movie since Clerks 2 came out. I think I noped out of him entirely.
Well, I think that was after Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, so there was nothing I think that was good. I watched Yoga Hosers. It wasn't awful. It was probably better than Clerks 2, but that's not a very high bar to step over.
Yeah. I mean, Yoga Hosers looked awful. I had no interest in Zach and Miri Make a Porno.
I've seen that one, yeah.
I did like Jersey Girl, but that was also intentionally not a Skewniverse picture. So like,
yeah.
Like that's one of those that like when he went back into Clerks 2, I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Go back to your mother's tit, baby. It's just like okay,
Jersey Girl was also why
the
Daredevil movie got delayed.
I'm sorry, what?
Jersey Girl was also why the Daredevil movie got delayed.
Yeah. So, which is fine. Daredevil is what it is, but although Daredevil was miscast, they shouldn't have had Affleck as Daredevil. They should have tried to get Matt Damon as Daredevil. They're both huge Daredevil fans. Damon looks like Matt Murdock. Affleck is okay, but he's also really stiff in that picture.
Yeah, but I think the big problem there is direction. Everything about that movie was just a direction problem.
Yeah, could be, and the director's cut was way better than the theatrical cut too.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it could be possible, but I had somebody suggest it to me, and it is in fact a lot better than the theatrical cut. It's got, I think it's 5 minutes longer, but there's 10 minutes difference. Something like that, or 15 minutes difference with it, because some of the stuff they got put in.
Swap out like a whole scene, basically.
Yeah, they that's exactly. They swap out a whole scene and then they extend like one other scene to like ends up, really wording out more. Anyway.
But it's a direction and kind of a production problem, but that's been a problem for a long time. Was that like the producers would get in the way and be like, no, this has to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the casting was kind of like the producers getting in the way.
Yep. Plus, if they had Matt Damon in the picture, Jennifer Garner may have never had to meet Ben Affleck, and then that would have been maybe better for everyone. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, Jersey Girl. I like Jersey Girl. I thought it was fine, and it was an intentional move away from it, but like he just couldn't handle not being lauded for a picture that was just misunderstood. It was still a fine movie. Wasn't the best movie ever, but it was a fine movie. But
it's a good George Carlin performance.
Yeah, George Carlin was great in it. Yeah. I think everyone did a good job on it. I didn't hate.
Carlin was so excited for that movie too, because he always wanted to be an actor in his career. So he actually would, like, in his trailer, was just memorizing the lines over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and it was like possibly the most sincere thing Carlin has ever done. Like, I don't know where you stand on this. I feel like George Carlin gets a lot of respect that he does not deserve. Right?
Maybe.
Dude is hilariously funny. I'm not trying to take anything.
I love his comedy. I don't take anything seriously, but I love his comedy.
Yeah, his humor and presentation, all of it is great, right? But a lot of people believe that George Carlin is some voice for truth, and George Carlin was an opportunistic, money-grubbing leech, right? Like, he changed his message based on what was going to sell. It was always, it was. I mean, when clean comedy was clean comedy, he was a clean comic. When comedy went edgy, he went edgy. When comedy went social, he went social. And the things he said from one show, from one year to another, were different based upon what the social mores were at the time. He wasn't a consistent seeker for truth. He was absolutely merely brilliant at making a buck. And it was always
as a comedian too. It took him a while to really find his voice. You could see in some of his earlier stuff back when things were cleaner, when, everybody had to do their little 5-minute bit on a variety or talk show to be able to be a comic. You could see a couple times where he's like working out the character that would eventually be George Carlin on stage. It was like Your Average Joe, I think was the name of the character. And he had like the same voice and everything that we would end up using. It was something he had to work out eventually, but that's like any comic. Most comedians they're working their stick, that's just what they do.
Yep. Yeah. I don't fault him for having a shtick. I fault him for accepting the praise as a visionary, because like he could have just come out. I mean, and Johnny Carson was in similar vein. I mean, he wasn't the same kind of comic, but like Johnny Carson was openly like, nobody cares about my opinion. I'm here to make you laugh. And very, very open about that. Then he had his own opinions and he had his own politics. And if you would talk to Carson in off stage, he was not shy about saying what he had to say. But when he was on stage, when he was being Johnny Carson, it was about, it was about the audience. It was not about, shaping public opinion. And so I just have Carson's not as funny as Carlin, but Carson's infinitely more respectable than Carlin in that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that George Carlin thought of himself as, I literally thought of himself as like a thinker of a new generation, because I think that he's just a crafty businessman who was selling an image for cash. So. And you got to pay. You had a wife, you had kids, got to you pay the mortgage. I'm not trying to fault that as a motive. But yeah, she says he said a bunch of curse words, but he said a bunch of curse words in a row though. Yes. So, comedians, I believe this was meant comedians are not Socrates or Plato. They're funny dudes. Yes, they should be. Anyway, that being said, I think that humor and even comedy are important parts of our public discourse towards seeking truth. The idea that the jester gets to say what he wants to the king, I think that's an important function in society. So, but that doesn't mean you want to trust Dagonet with war plans. I'm just gonna lay that out there. So, now Dagonet was
the jester's job is to usually just point out what's wrong, right? Like to make fun of it, bring everybody's attention to it, and then you let the other people make a plan for how to fix what's wrong.
Yep. So now remind me here, Dagonet, of course, was Arthur's jester in the romances. But what was I trying to hang on. I don't remember what the question I had was. Oh, King Lear. The jester in King Lear. Do you remember his name?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. I think he had a name. I don't think he was just called the jester, but
they often called him, I know it's the Fool, but I don't remember if the Fool had a name.
Yeah, I cannot recall. He was also only one of two characters in that play that doesn't lie to King Lear.
Yeah.
Because he's not expecting it anywhere anyway. The king. Oh, somebody's salty. Somebody's laying it out there. Sorry for the silence. I was pouring some more coffee, and I didn't want you to wonder what the pouring sound was. So, but yeah, the Learning Center. I have to ask a question. We're going to dive into politics just for a real quick second here.
I think it's literally just called the Fool. I don't think he has a name.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. He's just often known as like the Fool or King Lear's Fool.
King Lear's Fool. All right. Excellent. Good to know. Okay. So, King Learing Center. Gotta ask a question. I want to gauge in chat. You're free to welcome in here too. But the medal, in the last several weeks, the call to put your bodies on the line went out, and suddenly we're not talking about the Learing Center so much anymore. Do you feel that was an intentional move on behalf of certain middle managers in a certain frigid Nordic states?
I mean, probably. Seems likely.
Because all of a sudden, people are, shoving themselves in front of bullets and things like that. That seems like an awful good way to distract from, billions in fraud.
I mean, to be fair, that place has just been awful for a long time now.
It's true. I have to say though, man, having spent the majority of my career working for private nonprofits, I cannot even begin to express to you how angry all of that stuff comes up to me, right? Having fought tooth and nail and lived on very little money to help people with no resources and to contract with a state that also paid way less than it took to run things, only to find out that, people getting paid billions of dollars for not doing nothing. Just a couple
Yeah.
states over from me.
Well, if you look at it too, right? Like of all of the major, I'm going to call them riots because that's what most of them are.
Yeah.
Of all those major riots that have happened in like the last 20 years, over half of them have happened in Minnesota and St. Paul.
Mhm.
And so that kind of just tells you the state of that area specifically. I have friends up in Minnesota. None of them are in that area, thankfully, but you know, they all like everyone in that state hates that area specifically, just the
Yeah,
Twin
yeah.
Cities.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of family up in Minnesota too, and similarly, they go down to the cities when they have to. You know, actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day. I can't remember what it was, but somebody was commenting in the chat, and it got read up on the screen that they're from like Western Wisconsin, and they're super super glad about these protests because all the crazies in their town left to go to Minneapolis, and so it's been real quiet back
Nice.
home. They're like, yeah, it's real bad, but it's been real nice around here the last week.
Like Buck, character appears the next Times Chaos. The real person is based off of. He lives up in Minnesota with his folks right now, and they never ever go to Minneapolis, right?
Mhm.
And they're further away from it than the town they do go to. If they need to get anything, they go across the state border to Fargo, because luckily they're slightly
Mhm.
closer to Fargo. They're kind of in between both of them, but
Right.
they're more than the halfway point.
Yeah, that's
So
that's
they're
not
like,
far from where some of my family lives up in near Thousand Lakes and stuff.
yeah, they're in
So,
Barnesville,
yeah.
which
So
is like in the middle of nowhere.
Princeton and Malacca, right up in that area. I've got a bunch of family up there. But yeah. I haven't been back up to Minnesota though since the 90s, honestly. I always wanted to go, but just it's a long way to drive, man. Nebraska is such a long state.
It's a
And
long way to drive, to see people. Like to do nothing else but to see people. That's
well, and I
all it
mean,
is. Yeah.
I mean, and there's beautiful country between here and there, and
Yeah.
we would spend, um, there was a good chunk in the late '90s, well, the mid '90s, early mid '90s, I should say, because I graduated in '96. But there's a good chunk of time in there where on the yearly we'd go up to Minnesota for family reunion, and we'd see the fam, and go camping and fishing and play volleyball and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think
Um,
that's the only reason I would go up is, it would be to see the people I know,
yep,
but I would
yep,
time it around hunting season,
yep.
for the stuff they prefer, which obviously they want to hunt elk up there.
Right.
Um,
So
just
oh
as
yeah.
something to do.
So you're looking at October, November. It can get real
Yeah.
cold up there.
It's fine.
Long johns for sure, man. They get that lake effect snow too. So
Oh yeah, I know.
yeah, that's wild.
Summer fishing's not bad either.
Yeah, no, it's not. The only thing about it is you gotta worry about the state bird, mosquitoes
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But yeah, I was it's been so long since I've been up to Minnesota. So I might be in the next couple years though, I might be making it up that way. I've been talking to Hutch. He lives up that direction, and we'll be talking about maybe trying to hit some Minnesota conventions once we get some of our books ready to go. I've got some friends in up there and also in Wisconsin. So I thought maybe we could, meet some people in the central location up there. So we'll see if it maybe happens. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, no, there are, and this is like talking about these, are there surprise checks for daycares and stuff. I mean, we get surprise visits from the Board of Health. They can happen, and there have been some of those like learning centers where they have definitely had some kids because they've had violations, right? But one of the frustrating things is that like the Leering Center specifically had violations, but they were never followed up on, right? So they receive no consequence from having a number of violations of their record keeping and of their conditions, whatever it was. It's just whoever's in charge of doing that wasn't doing it, wasn't implementing any of the things. That's one of the things that's so like frustrating is that they should have, you know, if they complied, we don't know because there's no record of it. If they didn't comply, then there's no record of it, and they kept getting paid for, you know, for when their license should have been pulled. So, and then on top of that, they're open from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Like that's no daycare is open from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's
Yeah.
that's a lie.
No, like a daycare needs to be open from basically the earliest work hour that a parent would be gone to the latest work hour that a parent should be gone.
Right. Well, that would be 24 hours, but they're, they're not.
Well, obviously we don't count like the night and graveyard shift. We're talking about
Right.
day shift stuff.
Right. Day shift. So you're looking at like 7, you know,
Yeah.
maybe 8. Right. If
Yeah.
you know, if you're living in a factory town where there's, you know, second shift gets off super late, like, you know, 8 and 9, then something like that.
I mean, if you're in a huge town, could we maybe accept the idea of an all-night daycare that's specifically an all-night? I'm not saying it's a crazy idea. I'm just saying I've never heard of one.
Yeah, I've never heard of one. I mean, that would be like it'd be only be all night, you know,
Yeah, it would
or
be like the one all-night daycare for like
right,
the graveyard shift people. But
right.
the thing is,
Or
what would it be? It'd
but
be sleepover. That's all it is
right,
because the kids need to be asleep at that time.
yeah, but 2 to 11.
Yeah.
Are
That's
you
crazy.
crazy? You're gonna
Yeah.
so you put the kids down at 8, you wake them up at 11 and take them home again.
Yeah. Like the kids need to be asleep already.
Like that's a that
Like if you're
they
gonna
make sure they're
graveyard
up for
shift it,
school.
just like I don't know, have a family friend or something who isn't working the graveyard shift and have them sleep on the friend's couch or something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, or
You don't need daycare at night. The word
well,
day is implied in the title.
if it's a 2-parent household, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, as
figure out
long
how to
as somebody's
stagger your
home,
shifts,
that's fine.
right? Yeah, yeah.
You just don't want the like young kids in a house by themselves. But if
Yeah.
like either mom or pop is sleeping in the other room, that's fine.
Well, of course, that has nothing to do with comic books.
It could though. Like anything could. We could write a comic about this.
Oh, goodness sakes. Okay, so if you were gonna have say we're doing the thin blue line kind of thing where we're taking this.
Oh no,
real
I was
event-
thinking of a comic about a all-night daycare. That sounds like a fun idea.
all night daycare. Okay, let's change this up a little. It's a superhero comic about an all night daycare. It'd be too unbelievable. Yeah, I believe a man can fly with all night daycare.
Technically, it would be called a night care. If we want to be technical.
Oh yes,
it, yeah.
there you go. There you go. So let's put
You know, it's where the superheroes have to go. Like Batman, he needs to put the Boy Wonder down.
yeah, you get single superheroes like superheroes. Nick Shirley comic debut. Okay. Well, later, Abigail. Appreciate you hanging around while you could. Monster Daycare starts at night. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, it's actually mostly villains' children while they go off doing their villainry and stuff.
Right.
The problem is very often they have to get check-ins from families and friends because the villains end up in jail immediately after their villainry.
Right. So, and that would be a.
It's like it actually becomes like a villain boarding house. It was originally just a night care, but everybody keeps getting arrested.
So they're it's like a boarding school. It was supposed to be a daycare, but it's just a boarding school now.
Like, yeah, I might be here for the next 6 months until my dad gets out of jail.
My stupid dad gets out of jail.
For robbing a bank.
So
for the third time in my life.
Yeah, so the place is run by like super powered nuns.
Yeah.
It's like a Catholic charity. That's the ticket. Night, and we just call the book Night Care.
Yeah.
So
And be like, yeah, we all envy Janice over there because her dad never gets caught.
yeah, geez, that's amazing. It's amazing. That could be really, really funny if I had time to put together another webcomic, which I don't. But if I did, that's a really great premise.
Same.
A bad guy has to come in for a parent-teacher conference because Bill won't share. I love it.
It's like,
amazing.
well,
See,
I didn't teach him to share. I don't share.
Why should he share? To the victor goes the spoils. It's in the
Exactly.
rules. That's great. That's great. Whew. Well, guys, it's been fun. I just noticed it's 9:00. And we started a little late today. It's not quite at 2 hours. But I gotta say, I'm a little tired and hungry. And I didn't think we'd go for this long, to be perfectly honest. We do have somebody from the chat saying, wasn't this supposed to be about drawing? It was. But I left my tablet upstairs outside of the studio. And so I did not get any drawing done. Hey, I will tell you what, though. Well, since we're here anyway, I will go ahead and show you what I've been working on. So you guys can see what I would have been working on had I remembered all of my equipment. It's from the story Disco Fever. And this is the history page talking about the disco wars. So that's what's going on. That'll be it's the second to maybe the third to last story that we need to reformat for the Zing issue 1. I mean, not Zing issue 1, for the Force of Good and Evil manga sized volume 1. So then I need to get some of the incidental pages and between art done and blah, 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 and then make sure it's formatted. Yeah. There's more stuff, but this story is it's a trip, guys. I enjoy it. Actually, this is a weird story because this is also, we had a drop off in readership when we were on during the original run, because there were some people that just didn't care about music history and thought the jokes were too obscure. We actually had some people comment on that. So I might come back after the story's done. I just don't care about music. It's like,
just funny. Like, I get it.
You know, it's not really about music, right?
Or whatever. Yeah, but like the funny thing is, like, a comic reader calling music history too obscure when it's probably more popular than the stuff they're into.
Right. And it's also, it's not really about music. You know, it's just an excuse to draw people in bell bottoms and things.
Yeah. Although I just find that hilarious because, like, even contemporary music history, I had to learn about the hustle and the electric slide and stuff like that in middle school. It's like everybody knows about a lot of different aspects of music history. How many people know about the ins and outs of superhero comics? That's not taught in school. You have to go out of your way to learn that. What is the mere obscure thing here, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty fair. It's pretty fair. So I might, yeah, I need to change the layout on some of this. I need to see the P-Funk. I have to do that. Okay. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. Or maybe it is what we were here for, but it's not what we're doing. You weren't here during the disco wars before the dark times. I don't know if you guys, the other thing about this particular story, why I'm cracking up at this couple of riffs. We have loads of like weird Star Wars gags in this comic too. So I don't know
I was
if you guys know that
just
or
caught
not.
off guard because my printer started printing something on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was sent by one of the other people who live here because they'll use my printer sometimes. So it's just like I'm the only one here right now, so they would have had to have been a remote print. It's like, oh, why is my printer going off?
Hopefully that, and not that somebody else has been stealing your printer and sneaking in through the side door to take stuff off of it.
Well, I mean, it's in my room. They'd have to wake me up at night. I'm a very light sleeper. Or I guess wake me up at morning. See, I could run the night care because I'm just up all night anyway.
See, there we go. There it is. Star Wars joke. And that's what we're gonna call it today, guys. I'm gonna go eat a burger. So
Yep.
next week, Daredevil.
Dinner time.
Next week, Daredevil for the reels, for the really, really reels. Very excited for it. And we will see you all around the internet. Until next time, go out, read some comics for the guys. This is Reese signing off. I gotta come up with a closing script. This is ridiculous.